What if I told you that when he walked away, it wasn't because he stopped loving you, but because he couldn't handle the kind of love you gave? That deep down, his body might have left, but his heart, it's still chasing your energy. In every silence he sits in, you think he forgot you. You think he moved on. But the truth is, no one truly moves on from the person who made them feel something real. You can replace faces, conversations, routines, but you can't replace connection. And what you gave him wasn't attention, it was connection. You saw him. Not the version he shows the world, but the one he hides when no one's watching. That kind of love doesn't vanish. It lingers. It becomes the voice he hears when he's alone, the peace he can't recreate, the feeling he'll spend months or years trying to find again. But here's what most people never realize. Sometimes a man doesn't let go because he wants to. He lets go because he's not ready for the version of himself he becomes when he's with you. You awakened a depth in him that scared him. You showed him his own soul, and instead of facing it, he ran from it. And the most powerful thing you can do now isn't to chase him. It's to understand that your silence, your absence, your stillness, that's what teaches him what your presence truly meant. So stay until the end of this video, because by the time it's over, you'll stop wondering if he misses you and start realizing why your energy is unforgettable. This isn't just about him leaving. It's about you finally understanding the power of being the one he can't replace. He didn't let you go because he stopped caring. He let you go because holding on required him to confront a version of himself he wasn't ready to meet. People often think that when someone walks away, it's because they've lost interest, that they've outgrown you, or that their love has expired. But sometimes walking away is not a reflection of disinterest, it's a reflection of weakness. It's the inability to sustain the emotional responsibility that real love demands. When a man truly feels something deep, it challenges him. It doesn't just warm him, it shakes him. Because love at its core isn't just an emotion, it's a mirror. And mirrors are dangerous things for those who don't like what they see. You see, when he was with you, he saw his potential reflected through your eyes. You believed in him. You saw the man he could be. And that's powerful. Because when someone sees us that clearly, it exposes everything we're not yet living up to. It forces us to recognize the gap between who we are and who we're meant to be. And that realization can terrify a man who's still running from himself. So instead of growing into that version, he pulls away. He convinces himself that walking away is easier than rising to meet the love that challenges him. He chooses comfort over transformation, ego over evolution. And when he does, it might look like he's rejecting you. But what he's really rejecting is the discomfort of change that your love required. Because let's be honest, love isn't easy. Real love demands honesty. It asks you to face your fears, your insecurities, your patterns, your past. And when you've spent years building walls to protect yourself, genuine love feels like a threat, not a gift. It asks you to open doors you've kept locked for too long. And if he hasn't learned how to walk through those doors, he'll retreat. He'll label your connection as too much, when in reality it was too real. You might think he let go because he didn't want you. But sometimes the truth is much darker. He let go because he wanted you too much, because you reached a part of him he didn't know how to protect, and instead of healing that part, he shut it down. Some men would rather lose the person who sees them than confront the reflection that person holds up. And that's the tragedy of emotional immaturity. It confuses safety with love. He might find someone easier now, someone who doesn't challenge him, someone who lets him stay small. But deep down, he'll always know that with you, he was seen in a way that scared him, that you touched something real. And the thing about real love is, it doesn't disappear when someone walks away. It lingers in the unspoken, in the quiet spaces between new connections, in the moments when he realizes that peace isn't something you find, it's something you feel when you're aligned with truth. He didn't let you go because you weren't enough. He let you go because being with you forced him to face the uncomfortable truth that he wasn't enough for himself. That's the part most people miss. When a man walks away from something powerful, he's not escaping you, he's escaping accountability to his own potential. But here's where your power lies. You can't save him from that lesson. You can't drag someone toward their own growth. You can't make them see what they're not ready to face. All you can do is stand in your worth and let their silence teach them what your presence used to provide. Because when you walk away from someone who wasn't ready for your depth, you become the echo they can't unhear. And in time, that echo grows louder. When life slows down, when distractions fade, when he's left alone with his thoughts, he'll feel it. He'll remember the peace, the connection, the authenticity. Not as a regret, but as a realization that he let go of something extraordinary because he wasn't strong enough to hold it. That's the paradox of love and loss. The one who leaves often feels the weight later, when the silence becomes a mirror sharper than any word you could have said. So when you think about him walking away, don't see it as rejection. See it as revelation. He didn't let you go because your love was too little. He let you go because your love was too honest, too transformative, too demanding for the version of him that was still hiding behind comfort. And one day, when his heart catches up to the truth his fear ran from, he'll understand that what he walked away from wasn't chaos. It was his chance at calm. What he left wasn't weakness. It was his path to strength. But by then, you'll be long past needing that validation. Because you'll know what he didn't. You were never the one who wasn't ready. You were the one who already was. And that, right there, is the kind of loss that never stops echoing. Love isn't just a feeling. It's a mirror. It shows us who we are, who we've been, and who we're capable of becoming. And that's why it can feel so uncomfortable, even painful, when it's real. Because love, real love, doesn't just make us feel good. It exposes everything we've been trying to hide. It holds up a reflection that says, this is you without the masks, without the games, without the excuses. When he met you, he thought it would be simple. He thought you'd be another moment, another story, another beautiful distraction. But you weren't. You didn't feed his ego, you fed his soul. You didn't flatter him, you challenged him. You didn't fall in love with his potential, you treated him like the man he could be. And in doing so, you unknowingly put him in front of that mirror. He saw himself differently with you. He saw his gentleness, his depth, his softness, parts he didn't show the world because the world doesn't reward vulnerability in men. But he also saw his fears, his inconsistency, his lack of emotional maturity. He saw the cracks, the unresolved wounds, the walls he built so high that even love struggled to climb them. And that's the paradox of connection. We all crave love, but we're terrified of what it will reveal about us when we finally find it. Because love doesn't care about your facade. It doesn't care about how strong you pretend to be, how independent you say you are, or how much control you think you have. Love exposes. It demands truth. And that's what makes it both beautiful and terrifying. When he looked into your eyes, he didn't just see you. He saw a reflection of everything he wanted to be. But instead of being inspired by that vision, he panicked. Because becoming that version of himself would have required him to let go of his comfort, his fears, his ego. And not everyone is ready to shed that much skin for something real. So he retreated. He convinced himself that the connection was too intense. He might have even told you that he needed space, or that he wasn't ready, or that something just didn't feel right anymore. But none of those words were the truth. The truth was that being loved by you forced him to face the gap between who he was and who he could be. And that gap terrified him. You became a mirror he couldn't look away from. Every time you believed in him, it reminded him how little he believed in himself. Every time you gave without games, it showed him how guarded he really was. Every time you spoke with emotional clarity, it revealed how emotionally lost he still felt. And so, in his confusion, he did what so many people do when love starts to demand growth. He broke the mirror. He distanced himself. He chose something easier, something familiar, something that didn't ask him to evolve. But here's the thing about mirrors: breaking them doesn't make the reflection disappear. The image remains, the awareness lingers, and that's why even after he walked away, a part of him still feels connected to you. Because you didn't just show him love, you showed him himself. And that's what makes you unforgettable. It's not your beauty, your words, or even your kindness. It's the way you made him feel seen in a world where he was used to performing. The way you saw the man beneath the layers he built to survive. You gave him the rarest thing anyone can give another person: truth. But here's the twist. Love as a mirror doesn't just reflect him, it reflects you too. Because while you saw him clearly, you also need to see what this connection was showing you. Maybe it's reminding you of your own strength, your own clarity, your own capacity to love deeply. Maybe it's showing you that you've been settling for potential instead of presence, that you've been trying to heal people who must learn to heal themselves. When love becomes a mirror, it's never one-sided. You both walk away changed. He might walk away running from what he saw, and you might walk away realizing you've been seeing too much in people who see too little in themselves. But either way, the reflection does its job. It reveals truth. And sometimes that's the whole purpose of love. Not to last forever, but to wake us up, to pull us out of illusion, to strip away our armor and show us who we really are when we're brave enough to love with no defense. You might not have realized it then, but you were never losing him. You were losing the illusion that he was ready to face his own reflection. And that's a powerful kind of freedom, because once you stop chasing people who fear their own growth, you start attracting people who are ready to grow with you. So the next time you ask why he walked away, remember this: sometimes people don't leave because love faded. They leave because love revealed too much. You held up a mirror he wasn't ready to look into, and that's not your failure. That's your power. And the most beautiful thing you can do now is to stop dimming your light for those who can't handle their own reflection. Because the right person won't flinch when they see themselves through your eyes. They'll rise to meet the truth you reflect back. And that's when love stops being a mirror and becomes a masterpiece. He may have walked away, but that doesn't mean his heart ever truly left. The world teaches us to measure love by presence, by who's calling, who's texting, who's showing up. But love doesn't always disappear when someone goes silent. Sometimes silence is just love that doesn't know how to speak anymore. Because when a connection runs deep, it doesn't end with goodbye. It just hides in places words can't reach. He can move on physically. He can go out, meet someone new, fill his days with distractions, convince himself he's fine. But the body moving on and the heart moving on are two entirely different processes. His body can adapt. His routines can shift, but the heart, it lingers. It holds on to moments, energy, sensations that logic can't erase. He might stop mentioning you, but every time he feels a calm he can't explain, every time a memory surfaces for no reason, that's you echoing through him. Because when you love someone from your soul, you leave fingerprints on their spirit. Not everyone understands that level of connection. Most people confuse attachment with love. Attachment fades with distance. But soul connections, they live in the spaces in between. They're not bound by proximity. They're bound by energy. And energy doesn't vanish. It transforms, it hides, it hums quietly beneath the noise of daily life. He may lie to himself and say he's over you. He may tell his friends that it just wasn't right, that he's moved on. But deep down, he knows something shifted after you. Because when you've been truly seen, when someone has looked into your eyes and touched the raw, unguarded parts of you, nothing after that feels quite the same. Every new person he meets becomes a comparison point, even if he doesn't admit it. Every conversation lacks the weight, the depth, the spark that once felt effortless with you. It's not that he hasn't found anyone better. It's that he hasn't found anyone realer. And that's the curse of genuine connection. It spoils you for the superficial. It sets a standard you didn't even know existed until you felt it. He thought he could replace you, But what he's really been trying to replace is the way you made him feel. And that feeling wasn't something you gave him, it was something you awakened in him. But awakening is painful. Once the heart expands, it can't shrink back to what it was. That's why he'll always feel that quiet ache, even if he can't name it. It's the part of him that misses how he felt in your presence. Because with you, he felt seen, safe, alive. 3 things the modern world rarely gives us all at once. And when he tries to recreate that with someone new, it falls flat. It feels off. It feels like acting instead of being. That's when nostalgia starts to haunt him, not for the memories, but for the version of himself that existed when he was with you. He remembers the softness in his tone when he spoke to you, the warmth in his laughter, the vulnerability he allowed himself to show. You brought that out of him. You made him feel like he didn't have to perform, like he didn't have to hide behind the armor he wears for the rest of the world. And once a man has tasted that kind of emotional safety, he'll search for it again and again, whether he realizes it or not. But he'll keep finding temporary replacements, people who excite him but don't move him, situations that distract him but don't fulfill him. Because the truth is, he's not looking for someone new, he's looking for the version of himself that only your love unlocked. That's the hidden ache he'll carry quietly, not regret, awareness. Awareness that he walked away from something sacred, not because it wasn't real, but because it was too real. Awareness that love isn't supposed to be convenient, it's supposed to be confronting. And that maybe, someday, he'll have to face the part of himself that couldn't handle what he once prayed for. But here's what you must understand. His lingering feelings aren't your responsibility. They're his lesson. You are not meant to be his unfinished story. You were meant to be the chapter that awakened him. Sometimes your purpose in someone's life isn't to stay. It's to shift them, to show them what emotional truth feels like, so that when they lose it, they can finally understand its value. So don't mistake his silence for indifference. Silence is often the sound of someone still processing what they lost. Don't think his absence means he's healed. Absence sometimes means he's still trying to forget what can't be forgotten. You left a mark not because you clung, but because you connected. And the most powerful thing you can do now isn't to wait for him to return. It's to keep becoming the kind of person who can love that deeply and still let go. Because that's the kind of love that transforms people. That's the kind of love that leaves a legacy. You may never hear him say it, but one day he'll realize it. You were not just someone he dated. You were the moment his soul woke up and realized what love could feel like. And when that realization hits him, it won't bring him peace. It'll bring him clarity. The clarity that not everyone who lets go actually moves on. Some just spend their lives searching for the reflection of a connection they once had and never found again. Because his body left, but his heart never really did. At some point, you have to understand that letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself back. Because there's a difference between holding on, because you love someone, and holding on, because you're afraid of who'll be without them. When someone walks away, especially someone who once made you feel seen, your instinct is to hold tighter. To make them remember, to prove your worth, to somehow change the outcome. But love doesn't bloom from convincing. It blooms from alignment. And the moment you start chasing validation from someone who already knows your value but can't honor it, you begin to lose connection with yourself. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It's the highest form of strength a person can show. Because to let go, you have to silence the part of you that still believes you can make someone ready who isn't. You have to quiet the version of you that's addicted to potential. The one that keeps saying, if I just love harder, if I just wait a little longer, he'll see it. But love isn't about waiting for someone to evolve. It's about recognizing that evolution is their journey, not yours. You can love someone deeply and still walk away when that love stops growing. Here's the truth most people avoid. The pain you feel after letting go is not because you've lost the person. It's because you're losing the identity you built around them. You were used to being the one who cared, the one who showed up, the one who kept the connection alive. So when you stop, it feels like a part of you is dying. But that isn't the end of you, it's the rebirth of you. The moment you choose yourself again, you start rewriting the story that used to depend on someone else's willingness to stay. You see, closure isn't something they give you, it's something you decide. It's that quiet moment when you stop refreshing their social media, stop analyzing what went wrong, stop replaying the good memories hoping they'll erase the pain. It's when you finally accept that some love stories aren't meant to continue, they're meant to awaken you. To remind you what your heart is capable of, and then to push you towards someone who will be ready for that kind of love. There's something profoundly liberating about no longer needing to be understood by the one who left. Because when you detach with grace instead of resentment, you reclaim your energy, you stop bleeding emotionally into places that no longer receive you. That's when your life begins to expand again, because all the love you are giving outward finally turns inward. You start filling your own gaps, finding joy in your own silence, creating peace instead of chasing it. And ironically, that's usually when he feels the loss the most. When your energy stops reaching for him, when your name no longer lights up his phone, when your absence stops begging for attention, that's when reality hits. Because detachment isn't loud, it's quiet. It doesn't come with